Hi, everyone in Facebook land. It's Chris Natsky here with Black Belt Leadership Speaking and Coaching with your Mind of a Champion tip of the week on Facebook Live. You know, I was considering this week kind of looking back at my career and looking at the little different changes and nuances, maybe not little, but sometimes really big, and wondering how I got to where I am today and how many of us get to where we're at, and also how often we are fulfilled or some people are not fulfilled in their work. And I was thinking about how I started back in the 80s in my career and what I was doing relative to what I'm doing now. And it made me think about a great concept from author Jim Collins from the book Good to Great, which he calls the Hedgehog effect, which is why I'm entitling this installment, Channeling Your Inner Hedgehog. And I'm going to read a quote from the book here really quickly hey, Brian, good to have you on with me, buddy. What Jim Collins says is, when what you are deeply passionate about, what you can be best at in the world, and what drives your economic engine come together, not only does your work move toward greatness, but so does your life. For in the end, it's impossible to have a great life unless it's a meaningful life. And it got me thinking about my own career. You know, I started right out of college with, very, very fortunate to start with the top consumer products company here in the United States. And at that time, when I came on board with them, I thought this is going to be my lifetime. I mean, it was a fantastic company, great people to work for, great products. They treated us incredibly well. In fact, I am so grateful for that time in my life, not only for the people that I met, but also the skills that I learned that have helped me to this day. Although the thing that I want to point out, though, is when I was working in that environment, I wasn't truly happy. I was challenged and I worked with great folks, but there was something underneath that I just was an itch that could never be scratched. And that, of course, for me, was martial arts. I'd always had an innate desire to have my own studio, martial arts studio. So I really struggled with that decision about leaving a great corporate life. At the time I was married, I had two small boys. There was a lot on the line, a lot at stake. But here was the defining moment. I was in San Francisco at one of my boss's retirement parties. So he had been with the company for 35 years, and they were having this big get together for him to honor him, which they should have. He was a great guy and really made a strong impact in people. But where I was struck in that situation is when people started sharing about him, and I don't know if it's just that I don't remember it, but I don't recall this at all. People weren't saying great things about him necessarily and how he made such a great impact in their life, which he probably did, but I don't remember that. All I remember was all the great sales that he made and the truckloads of box soap that he had sold and the facings on a planogram in a grocery store. And I was like, oh my gosh, this can't be my legacy. And I remember flying home that night from San Francisco to Denver and just getting real with myself and saying, is this really what you want to do with your life? And again, it has nothing to do with my old boss, because I think within his career, he was incredibly happy and he made an impact. But I knew it wasn't for me. And it was at that time that I made the decision, inside myself, that I wasn't going to be doing this for the rest of my career. And that's where the seed started to be planted about, opening up my martial arts studio. Now, that didn't happen overnight, and I struggled with that decision for a long time. But when it finally came to it, I started doing a lot of reading, and one of the things that I came upon was this idea is do what you love and the money will follow, right? We've all heard that. Fact of the matter is, that doesn't necessarily work out either. So you have to have a plan. You have to follow that passion. But you also have to have a plan of how that's going to work. And that's where the hedgehog effect comes. And so what Collins talks about is basically a three-pronged approach. And that the first is that you do what you love. You find something you're passionate about. Now, for me, it was martial arts. But what's interesting about that is that as I came to look at it, it wasn't just the kicking and the punching that I loved. I loved the teaching. And I didn't only love the teaching, but I loved the impact I could make. So I was passionate about it. And so think about the times in your life when you run across someone who's passionate about the work that they do. I mean, it is contagious. But passion can only get you so far. There's a lot of passionate people out there that, just don't make it in the business world. So the second thing is you have to find something that you're great at. And whether that means it's innately great at doing that or it's something that you develop skills in, that's what you have. That's the work you have to do. And quite honestly, what I found is I had tons of people that were there to help me and develop that skill, and tons of resources. And I had to work at it, but I was passionate about it, and I developed my skill. Now, you might be thinking, great, he's passionate, he's got skill. That still doesn't do it. It's the third element that Collins talks about that I really want to hit home, is you have to have some sort of a plan, an economic engine for making that work. And I'll add, it's something where you really serve at a great, great level. In fact, I use this message when I speak to high schoolers. You know, a lot of times I'll be asked to come in and talk about career paths and how they can, make that impact in their lives. And these are the three things I say: is find something you love, find something you're great at. Hopefully, make those the same thing. And where can you serve, and where can you have a plan to fill your economic engine? Now, my experience is when I want to get in the martial art world as well as the speaking world, is I sought out mentors. And there were some amazing people in my life that are, and you know who you are as I'm talking about you out there, that were just there for me every step of the way. So learn from other people's example so that you can move forward and build that business in something you love and something you're passionate about. So as you're sitting out there listening to it, if you are in a job or you're in a career that you love, stay there. By all means, do it. For me, it wasn't where I wanted to be. However, the question I'd ask you is, what do you want your legacy to be? And if where you're at now isn't where you want your legacy to be, what are you going to do about it? So anyway, that's what I want to share with you today. Thanks so much. I see Robert's on here with me. Thanks so much, Robert, for joining. I so appreciate you coming on and listening to me each week. I love sharing my messages with you. If this is something that you found value in, please like it, share it, comment. And if there are other things, hi, Victoria, that's Michael. Yeah, Michael Sopko, good to see you. If there's things that you'd love for me to share, there are other topics you'd like me to share, please let me know that as well. And thanks so much. Have an amazing week, and we'll see you next time on the Mind of a Champion Tip of the Week.